we're not in the business of chasing pennies here. We want to sell more expensive products because it means we can make more significant profits with fewer sales.
You've also mentioned, Lewis, high ticket dropshipping, and that's the way we like to go with our e-commerce businesses for multiple reasons. And I think the average price that we always aim for is above £300 minimum. So how can you assess that one of your niche ideas has an average price above £300?
Yeah, well, the important thing to note initially with the £300 point, that's just a kind of a baseline threshold. That's a starting point and a guide, really. It's not to be taken too literally that it has to be £300 on the dot. But I think anything below that, we're not in the business of chasing pennies here. We want to sell more expensive products because it means we can make more significant profits with fewer sales. There are plenty of niches that are sub £300. I'm not saying that they can't work, but it's about that efficiency and maximizing the value of each transaction if you want to make sure that your business works first time and you haven't done it before. That's the key. If you focus on products that are above £300, what it does is ensures that we're playing in a field where the profit per order can create a sustainable high income business for you quickly. It's like if you're choosing to go and open a restaurant, you say, right, where am I going to open this restaurant? Well, open it in an area where people are willing to pay for a premium dining experience, because then you'll make a much higher margin on every dish that you sell, because you know that the customers there are willing to pay that higher premium for it, rather than being the budget, fast food, high volume alternative. So the way that we find out if a niche has the right level of average price is we look at Google Shopping. I mean, it's as simple as that. We look as if we are an end consumer, a customer, and we just start getting a good feel for where the average of that niche is at. So, of course, there'll probably be exceptions to the rule. This isn't a blanket policy that has no exceptions. There will always be a couple of if you find a product that's maybe £1,000 average, you're always going to find the occasional £200 or £300 competitor that pops up, selling a much, much cheaper, lower quality version of that product. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for kind of an average core price. That's why we call it an average. What it also does, though, I think it's important to understand the benefit to you as a business owner of selecting products, because I don't want people to just do it because we say that it's a rule, but not understand why. What that means is if I can make one sale for anything less than £600 in ad spend, I'm technically making profit. Now, we make sales at a much, much lower advertising cost than that. For example, your CAC, your customer acquisition cost, might be around £30 or £40 or even £50. But what that means is you're still netting £560 or £550 profit after all of that ad spend, right? If that's your cost per sale. But hopefully you can see why doing it that way is so much simpler for beginners to make it work. Otherwise, if your profit's only, say, £30 per order, you might only be breaking even, or you might even be losing money on each sale if your ad cost starts to creep up too high. And when you're not that experienced with running ads, do you want to be cutting things that fine and relying on £1 or £2 potential profit or dipping into loss making? Or do you just want to make a really clear net profit on every sale that you make? I know which one I'd prefer.
And we've learned that from experience, having both ran low ticket and high ticket businesses. The high ticket business, it's the same amount of effort to sell a high ticket product as it is a low ticket product. So when you have the choice when you first get started, you make much more profit per order with your high ticket products. And so it's the way I decided to go, and it's the way I'll always go in the future, is selling high ticket products. Now, I'm not saying that low ticket dropshipping doesn't work. Of course, there is markets where that works. But for us, when we have the choice, and to really put the numbers in your favor, I'd much rather go into a high ticket niche where you need to make less sales. That's less admin, less hassle, less customers to make the same amount of profit. And that's why we go in that route. So we've touched on something before, which I want to go back to, which is making sure there are 10,000 searches every month in the UK for that niche keyword. But why do you think it's so critical to have this level of search volume?
Again, this is a ballpark figure that I've given, but jumping into a market without enough people interested in it is like opening up the shop or the restaurant in a ghost town where there are no customers. So that's what we want to avoid. We use tools like Keywords Everywhere to make sure that there's already a hungry crowd waiting outside the restaurant for whatever we're selling, right? So that's kind of what we're trying to do by setting that threshold of demand of monthly searches. We need to ensure that we're entering a market where there's already sufficient customer demand for us to come in and capitalize on it and just take our share of it, our slice. We don't need to dominate the entire market. Maybe that happens in the future. But just like a busy market is going to attract more vendors because there's more customers there, so more market stalls will turn up and want to sell their items, a high volume of search demand signals healthy customer interest and intent. So we're looking for those bustling markets. We're not looking for the ghost towns that we can come and open up our shop in and hope that suddenly we can bring the market to us. That's an expensive and risky game to play. So we find out the level of customer demand first by using tools like Keywords Everywhere. And as I say, we can link that below the episode for anyone that's interested in trying that. It's really easy to use.